She gave him a kidney to save his life, but he gave his heart to her sister. From rock bottom. This is a true story. The names and some events have been changed to protect the identity of those involved. You are listening to From Rock Bottom. Subscribe to the channel and keep respect in the comments. Do you have an inspiring story of overcoming challenges? Send it to us by email.
I gave him a kidney to save his life, but he gave his heart to my sister. I thought I was saving my boyfriend. I thought we were in love. I thought we were forever. But 1 month after I donated my kidney to him, he married someone else. Not just anyone, my sister. And no, this is not fiction. This is my real story. Keep listening because it gets so much worse. I met him when I wasn't even looking for love. Funny how that works, right? You spend years trying to make something work with the wrong people. And then, when you're finally at peace being alone, someone shows up and flips your whole world upside down. That was him. From the very first moment, there was something about the way he looked at me that made me feel seen. Not just looked at, not just noticed, seen. Like he could see straight through the smile I wore for the world and into all the scars I tried so hard to hide. And he didn't flinch. He stayed. He leaned in. He asked questions no one had ever cared to ask. He remembered the little things. And he made me laugh. Oh my God. He made me laugh like I hadn't in years. It was intoxicating. The attention, the affection, the intensity of it all. I fell so fast and I fell so hard I didn't even think to slow down. I didn't want to. He made me feel like the most important person in the room, even when we were in a crowd. Like I was chosen, protected, loved. He was charming. He was smart. He was ambitious. And above all, he was mine. Or at least, that's what I thought. I remember the first time he told me he loved me. We were watching a movie, some cheesy romantic comedy where the couple had this big dramatic "I love you" moment in the rain. And when it ended, I looked over at him, and he was already looking at me, just smiling, just there, present. And then he whispered, like he didn't want to break the moment, "You know I love you, right?" God, the way my heart burst at that second. I felt like I was glowing from the inside out. No one had ever said those words to me like that before, with that kind of sincerity, that kind of warmth. From that moment on, I was all in. We talked about everything, our fears, our dreams, our pasts. We even talked about marriage someday, about kids, about houses with big backyards and golden retrievers, the life we were going to build together. I believed him, every word. And when things got hard for him, when his health started to decline, I didn't hesitate for a second. Doctors ran tests. His energy dropped. He lost weight. We were terrified. And then the diagnosis came. Kidney failure. He needed a transplant. Fast. I didn't blink. I got tested the same week. And when the results came back and I was a match, I cried, because in that moment it felt like fate. Like all those signs people talk about, meant to be, twin flames, destiny, they all pointed to that one decision. Of course I'd give him my kidney. Of course I would. He was my person. He was everything to me. The surgery was hard. The recovery was harder, but I never complained. Not once. Every ache, every scar, every moment of fear, I carried it with pride. Because it meant he was okay. It meant I had saved him. And I remember thinking, this is what love is. This is what commitment means. I thought we were closer than ever after that. He held my hand in the hospital. He kissed my forehead every night. He told me, over and over again, how grateful he was, how lucky he was, how much he loved me, and I believed him, because why wouldn't I? I gave him a part of my body, a part of me. How could someone walk away from that? How could someone look into the eyes of the person who saved their life and lie? But at the time, I didn't even consider that. I was too busy being in love, too busy planning our future, too busy imagining the rest of our lives together, thinking we had already survived the hardest test two people could face. I was wrong. So wrong. But back then, he was everything to me. And I would have done anything to keep him. It started small, just little things you'd brush off on a busy day. He said he felt more tired than usual. Some headaches, a bit of nausea. I told him to slow down, get more rest, eat better. But it got worse. He started missing work. He'd sleep the entire weekend. I'd wake up, make breakfast, and sit next to him, watching him sleep through the morning, the afternoon, sometimes even the evening. His eyes lost their spark. His skin lost its color. And too started to lose my mind. Something was wrong. I could feel it in my bones. And he tried to brush it off like he always did. I'm just tired, babe. I've been working too much. Probably just a flu or something. But I knew it wasn't just something. He stopped eating properly. He'd drink water and complain of bloating. His legs started to swell, then his hands. And then, one day, he fainted at the pharmacy while picking up vitamins. That was the moment I snapped into survival mode. I rushed him to the ER. I held his hand through tests, through silence, through worry. I watched doctors whisper in hallways. I saw the nurses exchange those glances, the kind that make your heart drop even before anyone says a word. And when the doctor came back with the results, I already knew it was bad. His kidneys are failing, she said. Just like that. 3 words that shattered my world. His kidneys were failing. I couldn't speak. He looked at me, confused, pale, exhausted, too tired to even react. And I felt like I was floating outside of my body. Like this wasn't real. This couldn't be happening, not to him, not to us. But it was. Stage 4 kidney failure. The numbers were bad. His body was slowly poisoning itself because the very organs meant to filter and clean his system were shutting down. And the worst part? He hadn't even noticed it creeping in. That's how cruel this disease is. It comes quietly. It builds slowly. And by the time you realize it, it's almost too late. He started dialysis the next week. I watched him hooked up to machines for hours, 3 times a week, pale and weak and trying to smile through it all. He joked. That was his thing. I guess I'm bionic now. He'd grin through the pain and I'd laugh, because crying would have broken me in half. But at night, when he thought I was asleep, I'd hear him crying in the bathroom. And my heart would break all over again. I was terrified. I'd lie awake wondering if we'd ever have a future, if we'd get married, if he'd be there when I had my first gray hair, if we'd grow old together, or if I'd have to bury the love of my life before we even had a chance. Every time his phone rang, I panicked. Every time he had a fever, I imagined the worst. Every blood test, every doctor visit, every delay in results, it was hell. And yet, I never once thought of leaving. Because that's what love is. You stay. You fight. You wipe their forehead when the fever comes back. You hold their hair when they throw up. You whisper to them that they're still beautiful when they feel like a shadow of who they were. You remind them that they are still here, that you are still here, that hope still exists. And so, when the doctor mentioned the transplant list, something inside me stirred. I asked what it would take to get tested. He didn't want me to. He told me it was too dangerous, that he didn't want me to suffer. But he was already suffering, and I couldn't stand one more second of watching the man I loved fall apart, knowing there might be a way I could save him. So I got tested. Blood type, antigens, cross-matching. It felt like a science project I never signed up for, but I didn't care. Every phone call from the clinic felt like a lottery ticket. And then we matched. Perfectly. I couldn't believe it. It was rare, but it was real. And suddenly, the decision wasn't a decision at all. It was already made. I would give him my kidney. I would save him. When I told him, he cried. When I told my family, they panicked. But my heart had never been more sure. I'd have given him 2 if I could. Because I loved him that much. The weeks leading up to the surgery were terrifying. We wrote letters to each other, just in case. We cuddled more than usual. He kissed me like it might be the last time, every single day. And the night before, we held hands in the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling in silence. Not afraid, just grateful. Grateful that maybe, just maybe, we'd get a second chance at life. Together. I didn't know then that I was saving a man who would one day betray me in the most unthinkable way. But at that moment, he was my whole world, and I would have died for him. I gave him part of me, literally, and I thought that would make us unbreakable. The surgery was over. We survived. I woke up first, groggy and aching, with a tight bandage across my side and a heaviness in my chest, not just from the pain, but from relief. It was done. They told me everything went smoothly. My kidney was now inside him, working, filtering, saving, and for a moment, that felt like the most beautiful sentence I'd ever heard. A nurse leaned in and whispered, "He's asking for you." I tried to sit up, but I couldn't. It hurt so badly. But I smiled anyway, because he was awake, he was alive, and I was still his hero. They wheeled me into his room later that day, and the second I saw him, my eyes welled up. He looked better already. Still pale, still fragile, but better. Our hands met across our hospital beds, and he mouthed, "Thank you." That moment, I thought we'd made it. We were going to get through this. This chapter, this nightmare, this test of love, it was behind us now. I believed that. God, I needed to believe that. The next few days were slow. Recovery isn't romantic. It's groaning when you laugh. It's nausea and constipation and nurses waking you up every 2 hours. It's no makeup, no filters, no dignity left in those hideous gowns. But we still smiled. He would text me from the room down the hall. "Hey, soulmate, how's your pain scale? I'm at a solid 7. Want a race?" And I'd text back, "Only if there's pudding involved." We made jokes even when we were crying. We held hands, even when we could barely keep our eyes open. We were stitched up, broken, and exhausted, but we were together. My family visited, bringing flowers, snacks, and whispered worries. His family? They came too. But it was awkward. I noticed his sister barely looked me in the eye. His mom thanked me, but it felt cold, like it was rehearsed. At the time, I blamed it on stress, on fear. Now I know better. But back then, I was just focused on getting better. We were released within a week. 2 people, 1 kidney short, 1 newly alive. And the weeks that followed were a blur of post-op checkups, medications, bruises, soup deliveries, and more medications. I had never taken so many pills in my life. Painkillers, antibiotics, vitamins. And he had even more. Our kitchen became a pharmacy, but we were getting better. He could finally go up the stairs without needing to sit halfway. He stopped sleeping 16 hours a day. He started smiling again. For real. I felt proud. So proud. I didn't just give him a kidney. I gave him his life back. I gave us a future. And in return, I thought I was earning forever. The bond we had after the surgery, I thought it was sacred. We talked about getting engaged. We looked at rings, half joking, half serious. He even took me to the beach one weekend, just to get some fresh air, and held my hand so tightly I thought, this is it. This is the man I'll build my whole life with. Every scar on my body felt worth it. Every ache, every risk. Because he was here. He was alive and he was mine. But you know what they say about being too comfortable? About loving someone so deeply you can't see what's right in front of you? I should have seen it. The signs, the messages, the shift in his voice, the way he started turning his phone face down. The late night walks alone to clear his mind, the increasing excuses, the missed calls, the sudden need for space. But I didn't, because I was still healing, still believing, still loving him like he had my heart and my kidney. I thought we were closer than ever. But something was changing, something I didn't want to admit. And soon I'd find out the truth, one that would make every sacrifice feel like betrayal. You know that gut feeling you ignore? Yeah, that one. It started with something small, a vibration. His phone lit up while he was in the shower. Nothing unusual, but something about it felt off. The name on the screen wasn't saved, just a number, and the preview read, "I miss you too. When can I see you again?" My stomach dropped. It could have been anything, right? A friend, a coworker, a joke. I told myself to relax. But I didn't. I couldn't. He came out of the shower humming, wrapped in a towel, smiling. I watched him pick up the phone, glance at it, and he turned the screen away, then locked it. Just like that. That night, I barely slept. My mind spun in circles, trying to make it make sense, trying to justify, but also dying to know. A week passed. He grew more distant, more tired, more busy. His excuses got longer. His kisses got shorter. One night, he went to sleep early, passed out with his phone in hand. I stared at it for what felt like forever. And then I did it. I unlocked it. He never changed the password. My heart was racing. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I found everything. Messages, photos, videos, a whole relationship. And not just with someone, with my sister. I froze, scrolled more, and kept scrolling until my body went numb. They talked about me, about how guilty they felt, about how hard it was to keep the secret, about the day of the surgery, about how brave I was, how convenient it all had been. Convenient? I gave him my kidney. She gave him, what? A place to stay? A different kind of comfort? I couldn't breathe. Every text was a stab. Every photo a slap in the face. Every "I love you" between them like the one he whispered to me right before anesthesia. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just sat there, tears rolling while he slept beside me. The man I saved, the man I loved, the man who was holding two hearts and stabbing one of them. I felt sick, so I went to the bathroom and threw up. The next morning, I said nothing. Not yet. I needed to process, to plan, to figure out who I was in this story. And because in that moment, I didn't know if I was the hero, the victim, or the fool. But I knew one thing. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. I gave him a second chance to come clean, and he looked me in the eye and lied again. I sat across from him, the same man I had once cried over in hospital waiting rooms, the man I had prayed for when his kidneys were failing, the man I nearly died for. Now I could barely look at him. And yet, I needed to hear it from him. So I said it. Calm, controlled, but my voice felt like glass about to shatter. "Are you sleeping with my sister?" He froze, fork halfway to his mouth. Chewing stopped, eyes locked on mine. Silence. I already knew. I'd read the messages, hearts, late-night confessions. The "you make me feel alive," he once said to me, now sent to her. But I needed to hear him say it. So I waited. He swallowed hard and whispered, "I didn't mean for it to happen." I think my soul left my body for a second, because in that moment, something inside me broke. "So it's true." He nodded, barely, ashamed, maybe, but not enough. I pushed back from the table, hands trembling, vision blurry, everything was spinning. My baby sister, the one I protected, the one I helped raise when Mom worked nights, the one I would have given anything for. And he had her while I was healing, while my body was learning to live with one kidney, while I was thanking God he was still alive. He stood up, reaching for me. It just happened. One time. Liar. I pulled out my phone. Then why does she call you babe in these messages? Why is she telling you she can't wait for me to leave the house so you can come over? He looked at the screen, and he didn't even flinch. It got out of hand, he mumbled. Out of hand? This wasn't a one-night mistake. This was a full-blown betrayal. Planned, hidden, ongoing. I stared at him. The man I thought I'd marry. The man who used to leave little notes on my coffee cup. The man who said he wanted kids with me. And now, he looked like a stranger in my kitchen. Why her? I whispered. He opened his mouth, paused, and said, she listened. She made me feel wanted. I could have screamed. I could have thrown something, but I didn't. I just stood there. I gave you a kidney, I said, my voice low, steady. And you gave my sister your heart? No apology, no real remorse, just awkward silence, and a man who didn't know what love meant. I walked past him, each step heavier than the last. He followed me down the hall, begging, "Don't throw this away. We can fix it." I was confused. I didn't mean to hurt you. I stopped at the doorway and turned around. You weren't confused when you texted her. You weren't confused when you kissed her. You knew exactly what you were doing. He looked stunned, as if the truth had never sounded so loud before. And maybe it hadn't. Because I was done playing small. Done trying to hold together a relationship that was never real. He cheated. With my sister. And that was the end of the story. Except it wasn't. Because what he said next was a punch I didn't see coming. We didn't mean to fall in love. I blinked. Love? He nodded, eyes full of tears now, like he was the victim, like he was the one who got hurt. I laughed and because what else could I do? Cry? Again? I had no more tears left. I looked him in the eye. Then go. Be with her. His face dropped. He didn't expect that. He wanted drama, begging. He wanted me to fight for him. But I was done fighting for people who used me for... No. I opened the door. Get out. And he did. No bags, no shoes. He just walked out. And I stood there still for a full hour. Until I finally collapsed. But not from heartbreak. From relief. Because for the first time in months, I was free from the lies. Free from the guilt. Free from the man I thought loved me. And now I could finally see the truth. He only loved himself. It took me 3 days to stop shaking. 3 days to breathe without that crushing weight on my chest. And on the 4th day, I knocked on her door. Not his, hers. Because while he broke my heart, she broke our blood. She opened the door with a smile, like nothing had happened, like we were still little girls playing dress-up and sharing secrets. Hey, what a surprise! I didn't smile back, I just stared. And something in my face must have changed her tone. Her voice dropped. Is everything okay? I took a breath. Are you sleeping with my boyfriend? No games, no pretext. Just truth. Straight. Cold. Raw. Her eyes widened. What? I repeated. Don't lie, I already know. He told me. I read the messages. I know everything. She froze. Color drained from her face. For the first time in years, she looked like the kid sister I used to protect from bullies. Only this time, she was the bully. It wasn't planned, she whispered. I almost laughed. You accidentally fell into bed with my boyfriend while I was recovering from donating him a kidney? She looked down. We didn't mean to hurt you. But you did. And you kept doing it. She didn't deny it, didn't even try. And that hurt more than anything, because if she had begged, cried, screamed, maybe some part of me could pretend she was still my sister. But her silence confirmed it all. They chose each other. Over me, over family, over blood. How long? I asked. She didn't answer. How long? I repeated, louder. Since last Christmas, she said quietly. My jaw dropped. Almost a year. That meant they were already sleeping together when I was still rubbing his back during dialysis, when I was cooking him soups, when I was planning his birthday party. You sat at my table, I said, voice breaking. You looked me in the eye and smiled. You hugged me. You called me your best friend, and then went home and slept with my boyfriend. She began to cry, but I wasn't ready to comfort her. Not this time. She wasn't the little sister I'd defend on the playground. She was the woman who ruined my life and never stopped. Why? I asked. Was it jealousy? Spite? What did I ever do to you? She shook her head. It wasn't about you. But that's the thing. It was. Because it was my man, my relationship, my kidney, my pain. And she chose to steal it all like it meant nothing. Do you love him? She hesitated, and that was enough. I stepped back. Something inside me cracked, not the old kind of break, not the soft heartbreak that weeps in the dark. This was louder, clearer, final. I was done. I wiped my face. I lost 2 people this week. She looked up. But I also found out who you really are. She tried to step forward. Please, don't hate me. I shook my head. I don't hate you. I just don't know you anymore. And with that, I left. A year passed. 12 long months since I stood in front of my sister and watched her cry, not out of guilt, but because she got caught. 365 days since I left that house, that city, that entire life behind. And now, they're married. Yes, married. I saw it on someone else's Instagram, a photo someone forgot to hide. She wore white. He wore a smug smile. They said their vows in a small ceremony at the beach. The same beach where he once told me he loved me, where I thought he might propose, where we carved our initials into the wood of that old boardwalk bench. Now they sit there, together, probably pretending it was always meant to be. But it wasn't. It was betrayal dressed in lace and a rented tuxedo. And no matter how many filters she put on those photos, it couldn't hide the truth. She married my past. And me? I chose my future. I moved. Packed up everything I owned, which, honestly, wasn't much anymore. I left the couch we shared, the bed we picked together, the plants I kept alive through winter. Left it all. Because no memory was worth that weight. I moved 2 states away. Signed a lease for a tiny apartment with chipped tiles and a view of nothing. But it was mine, and for the first time in forever, I could breathe. No reminders in the hallway. No whispers at the grocery store. No, I heard what happened eyes following me at every corner. Just silence and space and a fresh start. The first few weeks were hard. Some days I couldn't even leave the bed. Other days I walked for miles, hoping I'd get lost enough to forget. But slowly, things shifted. I found a local cafe that remembered my order. I joined a book club. I didn't even read the first book, but they didn't care. I got a part-time job at a flower shop. The irony didn't escape me, arranging beautiful things after my life had been torn apart. But maybe that's the point. Beauty can be rebuilt, even from pieces. I stopped asking why he did it, why she did it, why I gave so much only to be discarded. Because there are no answers that bring peace, only choices. And I chose me, for once. Not the fixer, not the giver, not the girl who puts everyone else first. Just me. Raw, flawed, trying, and slowly healing. Do I still think about them? Sometimes, not out of longing, not out of hate, but out of wonder. Wondering how they sleep at night. If their love is built on guilt. If they ever look at each other and see me standing in the space between them. I hope not, because I've moved on. I've cried enough, given enough, lost enough. I've let them go. Now, I live one day at a time. I'm not chasing some fairy tale anymore. I'm planting roots, even if it's just one flower at a time. And slowly, I'm blooming again. The kind of bloom that comes after winter. Quiet, steady, real. Do I believe in love? Yes. But not the kind that asks you to break someone else to feel whole. Not the kind that takes and takes until there's nothing left. I believe in love that builds, that holds space, that chooses you every single day. And I believe it's coming. I don't know when. I don't know how. But I know, because now I finally love myself enough not to accept anything less. So here's what I'll say to anyone listening. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, by someone you trusted, even by your own blood, you are not broken. You are not stupid. You are not unlovable. You are not defined by what they did to you. You are still here, still standing, still soft, still capable of love that doesn't hurt. You may have been betrayed, but you are not the betrayal. You are the comeback. You are the plot twist they never saw coming. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, love will find you, the real kind. And when it does, you'll be so glad you never gave up.